Often when you're citing an online source in an academic essay, you're asked to provide a DOI, or a digital object identifier. That's especially the case in APA format, which is what we're focusing on here, although you'll also find it in, for instance, MLA format. The rules for using DOIs are set particularly by an organization called Crossref, and you can look them up yourself online. So the APA follows the kind of guidelines set by Crossref, and things have changed quite a bit over time. So the 6th edition, the current guidelines for the APA, they came out in 2009, and so they've dated a little bit, and Crossref has sort of updated their guidelines over time, and the APA, at least online, has followed suit and has adopted more recent guidelines. So that can be a little bit confusing, and we'll talk about some of the differences in what follows. So if you look at our sample citation, then we have a DOI at the very end, and the DOI, notice that there's no period here, so no period, because it's supposed to function like a URL. And a URL is the link that you find in your address bar in your browser. So it's kind of like the website link, right? And the nice thing about a DOI is that it's assigned to a particular article, and it sort of sticks with that article or online source, which means that it's much more stable than a URL. A URL might change, and over time you might not be able to find a particular source anymore, but a DOI will stay the same. And in fact, this website here that we're linking to, doi.org, has a little tool called a resolver where you can actually stick the DOI in, and then you can still find the article through that. So that's really handy, and that's why we want to use DOIs where possible, or at least when a style guide tells us to do this. As you can see, we have 3 kind of formats for providing DOIs, and this is where it gets quite confusing. But the one you really need to know about, the one that's in use at the moment, is the first one. And I'll try to unpack a little bit what the different parts of the DOI are. What we have here then is we start with a secure transfer protocol. So this is something you'll see often at the beginning of particular websites, and the S is what makes it secure. Okay, so this is the secure transfer, oops, that S went missing, secure transfer protocol. Then the next bit is the host name, so that's doi.org, that's the host name. And then after that follows the prefix. So the prefix consists of a number of things. The 10 is always going to be the same because every DOI starts with a 10. And conceivably you could think of a different numbering system for some other kind of publication or type of publication or some other internet thing, and it could have a different number that it started with. But DOIs always start with a 10. And if you read the APA guidelines, they'll say that this is not part of the prefix, whereas other sources suggest that it is. So it's sort of up to you how you want to think about that. Then you have a period, and then the rest of the prefix is this number that's at least 4 digits long. And what this refers to is the registrant, or the publishing company or the organization that is assigned this particular number. Then we have a slash here, and then we have a series of other numbers or letters as well. So it can be numbers or letters, doesn't really matter too much. And there can be some other punctuation in there as well. So those are the 4 parts then of a DOI. We have the secure transfer protocol, we have the host name, we have the prefix, and then this last little bit here is called the suffix. I guess I should give the name here, so the suffix. Okay, that's how we do it currently, and you can see that because this is a link, and you can leave it as a link in your essay as well, you can click on it, you can go to this particular article, and it just makes it much easier to retrieve. In the past, things were a little bit different, and I'm just going to cover this very quickly. In 2011, Crossref came out with the following kind of suggestion for how to do things, and this is very similar to what we have today. So today is 2017. Recently this has been updated. But in 2011, all that's different here is that we have this little DX as part of the host name, and we don't have the S, so it's not quite as secure. And then the last one here, this is what you'll find in the APA Guidelines 6th edition. Back then, you're supposed to just say DOI : and then give the DOI number. All of these formats are still acceptable, so you can use older formats, and that's okay, because a lot of articles, they may not actually provide the particular DOI form that you're looking for, and if you're giving an older format, that's quite all right as well. But wherever possible, try to go with the latest version, and that's what we've done in our example here. The last thing you'll want to know is how to actually find the DOI. And what I have here for you is a sample essay that I've accessed through a particular database. There are a number of places where you can look, and this is going to depend a little bit on what database you use. So just try to be resourceful in finding the DOI. But often you'll find the DOI if you just look through the information here. It may be quite close to the end. Here's our digital object identifier, and you can see that it's still in the older format. So we have the DX and we don't have the S to make the transfer protocol as secure as possible. Another place here is under Site. So we're going to go to Site, and if you look at APA, the APA reference form, you'll see that the DOI is included there as well. We could, of course, just copy and paste the whole thing, but it's really good to be aware of how citations work, because often you'll find that there may be something incorrect or something may not have been updated properly. The last place to look for the DOI, we'll just close this a second, is in the actual PDF. So if we go to the PDF, then often on the first page, either in the header or the footer, most often in the header, you're going to find the DOI here. So you can see right here in the top right corner, there is our DOI. So those are some common ways to find the DOI. And if you go to DOI.org, here's the website and here's the resolver that I talked about before. So you can actually type or paste the DOI name in, and then you can find the particular source. Now, because the DOI, the way it's provided these days, is also, in a sense, a URL, or it's kind of like a hyperlink, you can also simply stick it in your web address browser address bar and click on that, and that should take you places as well. So hopefully that helps you figure out DOIs. Maybe I gave you way more information than you need, but at least it should help you make sense of the way in which DOIs have changed over time and what you can do at the current moment.